What's up, people? It's your boy Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. And we're back with another podcast, man. I hope everyone's been doing well. It's been a hell of a week in this sport that we call professional wrestling. It has been absolutely crazy. Like, every company has been on a high, I would say. There's been a lot of good stuff. There has been returns, debuts, big kind of storyline shifts, like storylines restarts. Yeah, it's been very interesting in the past week. So yeah, we've got a lot to discuss today. And you know what? I don't think there's anywhere else to start apart from obviously the happenings of this past weekend. WWE Smackdown on Friday night. The Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way is confirmed. That is confirmed. We are getting Roman Reigns defending the WWE Undisputed Championship against LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. Now, the match, firstly, that Orton, LA Knight, AJ Styles was having was incredible. That was such a good match, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I never expected it to be so much of a low-key banger, like a TV banger. Like, it was really good. And then the Bloodline came and scattered everything. Roman Reigns coming out, so ominous, like literally mob boss vibes, because everyone was down when he came out. He comes out, walks down the ramp, and sends Solo Sikoa on his way, sends Jimmy on his way. He gets in on the act. They think they're doing the smart thing to just scatter out all of their opponents, all of their ops and everything like that. Obviously, Nick Aldis is ringside. And Nick Aldis, basically wanders over to Paul Heyman, who's very proud of himself of what's taking place as well. And Nick Aldis just off camera, or should I say off mic, sorry, says to Paul Heyman, if he thinks he's, happy about all of this, about doing all of this, then we are going to have a fatal 4-way. There's been some WWE.com digital exclusive backstage thing of Paul Heyman telling Roman Reigns of, it's going to be a fatal 4-way because of this. Yeah, it's for some people aren't happy. Some people prefer one-on-one singles matches. I think a lot of us thought it would be Randy Orton. That it would be Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Heavyweight title at Royal Rumble. However, I'm quite in favor of this fatal 4-way. Now, I didn't ever think they would do a fatal 4-way because they've got a Royal Rumble on the same show. Like, a lot of multi-man matches, if you see what I mean. Like, it's not a lot of variety. I thought they'll keep this one a singles match because they're going to have a Royal Rumble match. But Fatal 4-Way isn't a Royal Rumble at the same time. So, yeah, it's quite interesting to see that they've gone ahead with doing this Fatal 4-Way match. I think what I'm looking forward to this is because this is going to be very different from a lot of other Roman's defenses that we have seen. We have seen the big singles matches against, you name it, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Brock Lesnar, John Cena. We've seen the singles matches, and we tend to know how they're gonna end, especially with the Bloodline in tow, shenanigans all over the place, ref bumps, this person gets involved, that part. Like, we've become accustomed to that. Many people are even very dismissive of Roman matches now because of this is how they tend to end, or this is how they'll tend to go. So now we have a fatal 4-way, which we haven't seen in this run of Roman Reigns. We've seen the triple threat with Daniel Bryan and Edge at WrestleMania. Fantastic match. We've got a fatal 4-way now. And the fatal 4-way, I guess the one thing it leads itself to be is non-disqualification, isn't it? So the shenanigans could continue, but Roman has a lot more shenanigans to have to deal with. There's a lot more people to take out than just his one opponent. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we get on. Big up my bro Anafi in the chat. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is I think it's exciting. It's something different. And if this is the last 3 to 4 months we are looking at in regards to Roman Reigns' title reign, then giving us something different in terms of, a fatal four-way that we haven't seen, I'll take it. I'll take it. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how this is. I mean, let's not get it twisted. I expect Roman Reigns to defend it. I expect him to come out with the title. The only other thing I'll say that may play into this now is Roman Reigns, to open up SmackDown, ignored the question from the interviewer saying that, just laughing, in fact, saying nothing, laughing, because of course he was asked a question about The Rock. He laughed it off to open SmackDown, and we never saw him again until the end of the show. Now, if he's going to keep ignoring the fact that The Rock has basically hinted at the head of the table stuff, I'm just thinking, do we have an opportunity here that at the end of Royal Rumble, given Roman Reigns retains the WWE Undisputed Championship, does The Rock link him at Royal Rumble? Like, you heard me, you're ducking me, you're laughing off what I said. Cool. You just defended against 3 other men. Cool. Now, we hear Roman's music, a bit of celebration. He may even do the "there's nobody left" shtick. If he runs "there's nobody left" at the end of his match at the Royal Rumble, and then you hear The Rock's music play, that building is going to be crazy, because that will be the first sighting of The Rock and Roman Reigns, in the same place, face to face. I mean, since what? The Royal Rumble where The Rock came and tried to save Roman Reigns, right? What was that, 2015? Have The Rock and Roman Reigns been on screen with each other since 2015? I don't think they have. Or at least, I can't remember. If anyone in the live chat can remember, please put it in. But I don't think they've been on screen together since that time where, they sent out The Rock to try and get Roman over in 2015. So there's even some symmetry there. Roman is now this guy that he is. Roman has ascended. Roman has defeated 3 other men in his match at Royal Rumble, and now The Rock comes out. Now they could be clever about still keeping them apart. The Rock could just come out and stay in the entrance way, sort of thing, like CM Punk did when he made his return a couple months ago. Doesn't have to come down to the ring and actually see Roman face to face, or he could come down to the ring and see Roman face to face, and of course that place, the whole building will lose its mind. Like, there is a lot that they could do to play with here, because like I say, we're probably very confident The Rock's going to Roman, is going to retain at Royal Rumble. Can we push along this Rock storyline? Use this as an opportunity to push along the Rock storyline even further, especially if it's going to be at Elimination Chamber as opposed to still 2-3 months down the line at WrestleMania. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, I could see the live chat, Anafi here in the live chat. The 4-way announcement was good. It was. I don't know if I would have liked Nick Aldis to do it, on the mic rather than kind of whisper it to Paul Heyman. But I think either way, I enjoyed it. Gabe the Kid, big up Gabe. He said, if Rock comes out at Rumble, I'll flip loading single-handedly. Yeah, it would be something if The Rock came out after Rumble, after Roman's match at the Rumble, to basically say, you can't hide anymore. I said I want to sit at the head of the table. You are the man sitting at the head of the table. What are we doing about this? Like, even though for me, like I say, I want this to still be very much ingrained in the culture, the head of the table, the tribal chief stuff, and less so about the title. It'll be a great time. It'll be a great time to link him and kind of stick it on him in that fashion. We're gonna come back. In fact, let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. Let's talk about Dwayne returning and this conversation about where it should take place. Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. I've said it. I've said it all week long. This is a WrestleMania match. Yeah. Um, Big up Ola CWH in the chat. He has said elders ringside. Listen, if you want cinema, especially going into WrestleMania, this is what you have to do. You can get the elders involved. We've seen the likes of the Afas and the Seekers in the last 2 years or so. You know, a pandemic period, I think it was, when Roman had a match. They crowned him the tribal chief with the lay. Like, we can go the whole 9 yards with this. We really, really can. Like, The Rock wants his rightful place as the head of the table. This guy's running around calling himself the head of the table. But if we really break it down and see what he's done, what they've done for their families, let's say, there is no Roman Reigns probably without The Rock. So The Rock should kind of, take deep offense that this guy is running around calling himself this, when I'm the guy that, brought this family to real prominence. Yes, there was Rocky Johnson and the grandmother and all of these people that had their place in professional wrestling beforehand. But I brought prominence to this family within this business. I definitely brought the money in. Definitely brought in the notoriety and everything. This is a WrestleMania match. This is a WrestleMania match. So there's no doubt you guys know where I would want to see this. However, I'm looking at the new regime. Triple H hasn't been someone that has kind of mortgaged, his company for short-term success or short-term boosts or anything like that. Triple H has seemed to stick to a plan if he's got one. That's the first thing. So if the plan is still Cody versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I'm sure that's what they're still going to do. So the question is now, where do you stick in The Rock? And Elimination Chamber, I guess, is the next big show. It is a stadium show. It is a stadium show that is bigger than WrestleMania in terms of capacity of people that could be there in the building on the night. The Australian government, the tourist board, had asked, I think they're willing to put down more P's if they can get The Rock in Australia. I think they're willing. That it's been talked about before, all of this, when they're planning all of this. I think another thing we need to mention is The Rock's schedule. The Rock has a very strenuous schedule. He's back in Hollywood. He's back acting. I think I saw that he has 11 projects, 11 films maybe in production currently. So does he do Elimination Chamber, have the match at Elimination Chamber, and then get back to, filming and all of that other kind of stuff? Because surely they would have based this on where he is when he's free. He may not be free come, WrestleMania time or whatever the case is. I think as well, we can't be daft and pretend, The Rock is a big businessman, right? I can't remember the name of his football league or something, but I'm sure he's going to use this exposure on TV to help promote that as well. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Like I say, you asked me, this is a WrestleMania match. However, I'm not against it happening at Elimination Chamber at this point. WrestleMania 39, Los Angeles, Hollywood. That is where this should have happened. That is where it should have happened, because the stars align. Like, that is The Rock's domain right now. Hollywood is his domain. Roman Reigns was stepping into his domain. The tribal chief story could have still ran then, but they couldn't do it. From what came out then, if you guys remember, The Rock and Vince and Nick Khan all sat down and spoke about this. And as the story goes, The Rock actually wanted to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And why he wanted to do that was to help the promotion of Black Adam. Now, you guys are probably more film buffs than I am, but Black Adam flopped. And I guess The Rock thought if he was the WWE champion, he could almost use that as some type of marketing leverage to help with the film promotion. The Rock wanted to beat Roman Reigns in this day and age. It's crazy to think that. And to be honest, I'm still somewhat shocked that Nick Khan and Vince McMahon said no. I'm sure if, any other day, if The Rock wanted to, like, he would take the title off anyone. But I'm very surprised that they actually said no and said, Roman is the right thing right now. So then The Rock came out and said, yeah, we couldn't reach an agreement. But that's why they couldn't reach an agreement. It's because The Rock wanted to win and they said no. So right now, we're in a place where I think Elimination Chamber is the right place to do it. Because of just where we've fallen with the scheduling and everything. It's the right place. WrestleMania 39 would have been perfect. You have the match there. Roman gets his win over Rock there. And then we could walk into WrestleMania 40 now with Cody Rhodes and say, right, it's Cody's time to win. Undoubtedly. We're still saying that, a lot of us. But I think they've really kind of, it's like almost put themselves in a pickle. It's a good situation to be in that they've got these options. They've got this many main eventers. They've got this many draws. And they do have a lot of events. But then this brings me to my next point. I think WWE are trying to make an effort to make every event feel important. And as fans, we are still conditioned to the big four, the WrestleMania, the SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, if we still deem that big four, Money in the Bank, which is kind of creeping in there as another big one. We're still conditioned to thinking these are the only places titles can change, or these are the only places people can return, or these are the only places that people can debut. We have to get out of this mentality because I think WWE are trying to get out of the mentality. That's why they're really dressing up these B pay-per-views, as we call them. The backlashes and the fast lanes and the paybacks and all of these, they're trying to do something with them, as well as introduce new events like the Clash at the Castle, the Bash in Berlin. They're trying to do these things so that we can get out of thinking only big things happen at these other events. They're trying to spotlight these other places, or at least give them to crowds that, traditionally don't get them. France has never had Backlash. Well, they got Backlash this year. Puerto Rico had never had Backlash. They got Backlash last year. And we saw all of a sudden everyone cares about Backlash now because the live crowd really cared about Backlash. So, yeah, I think putting The Rock in Elimination Chamber will help really, really lift the profile of that show. It will make people think, well, they really care about Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber last year, 2023, saw Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in Montreal. Remember that match. Remember the care and in the investment we had in that match. We probably knew deep down in our heart of hearts Roman Reigns was still retaining, but between WWE storytelling, that crowd in Montreal, Sami Zayn and his ability, and the story that was being told, there was an inkling of, could they do this here? Because I think even then it was still on the cards that we could get Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania. So maybe Sami just takes the title off him here. This is why we need these shows. We need all of these shows feeling important so that the calendar year doesn't become very predictable. We need these shakeups and things of that nature. So, yeah. Long story short, I'm not against The Rock versus Roman at Elimination Chamber. Even us here in the UK, by the time that match comes on, if it's in Australia, it might be like 2:00 in the afternoon or something. That is so calm for us. That is so calm, rather than staying up at all times of the night. It's the Americans that are right now crying, oh, that might be like 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. Boy, here's what it is. Now you know what we gotta deal with. But yeah, a lot of good stuff that's happened in the WWE this week. One last thing, WWE related, I'm going to touch on. It took place on Smackdown. It was teased the week before. Bobby Lashley, Street Profits, they're having their segment. Bobby Lashley is declaring himself for the Royal Rumble, saying that he needs to get back on track after last year of not really doing much of anything. During this promo, we see Karrion Kross, Scarlett, and Paul Ellering come out from the entranceway. Corey Graves, excuse me, as he does, really sells. Oh my God, that's Paul Ellering, what he's done in the past, who he's led in the past, and he's standing alongside Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And Scarlett, even with a more darker approach, she's dyed her hair, really looking like, I guess, yeah, dark, devilish. I guess that's where we go with that. Bobby Lashley, Street Profits are goading them from the ring, saying, come then, like you interrupting us. And AOP make their return and attack Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Really good to see AOP back. AOP were one of my favorite tag teams during that specific, NXT Black and Gold era. They were fantastic. They were really, really good. They got to the main roster. They done the little Messiah thing, if you remember, with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. It was pandemic period, so they weren't really, they were there as henchmen. I don't think they really did much before I believe they were released. For those that remember, they tried to run an indie show in Nottingham, I think in 2022, which came basically of nothing. I think they were promoting a lot of names that hadn't actually agreed to do the show, hadn't received payment or anything to do the show. The Nia Jaxes, the Braun Strowmans that had all been released at the time. And apparently they've been re-signed to WWE for about 18 months now without debuting, without being cited at all. And the first time they were seen was this past week on SmackDown. So after they laid their first attack, Karrion Kross joined them in the ring, laid out, Street Profits, Bobby Lashley, looking very strong, good kind of, I guess, first outing for this new faction. No current name yet. Bobby Lashley and Street Profits, still no name or anything they're referred to as. I think with Bobby Lashley's promo, it kind of certified him and the Street Profits back in the corner of being faces. We're the baby faces here in this program going forward, guys. We want to win the championships, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Karrion Kross, AOP, and all of them, clearly they're going to be the heels. My question for you guys, and let me know whether on Twitter, live chat, wherever, is this the last chance saloon for Karrion Kross? If this doesn't work, this faction, what is left for Karrion Kross? I think factions, especially under this Triple H regime, have worked a treat for a lot of people up and down the card, whether it's a little kind of jokey mid-card faction like American Alpha or Alpha Academy, sorry, or whether it's the Bloodlines, the Judgment Days. They have worked a treat in Triple H's booking, and I think he's basically trying to almost repeat the trick with Karrion Kross. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Karrion Kross's in-ring ability. Personally, I don't care so much about his in-ring ability, just because this is WWE. Bells and whistles can make him look amazing. He looked amazing in NXT. Karrion Kross in NXT, this guy, he went on a streak. He won the title. He got injured. He dropped the title. He came back. He won back the title. Like, he looked amazing in NXT. And he's not the greatest of in-ring technicians. Does it matter in an industry, in a scope where everyone's becoming a really good in-ring technician? I think it does matter a bit, but this is still WWE. They will play to his strengths. They will get him over. And I think this is exactly what this faction is designed to do. This faction is designed to make him look menacing again. Because let's not lie, since he's been back, since he's got a bit heavier, we can say that. He's grown out his hair when he was bald and menacing, no facial hair, just a bald man with like a mustache and a goatee. He definitely doesn't look like the Karrion Kross of NXT. Doesn't look half as menacing, but maybe this group is designed to now make him a bit more menacing in that aspect. They passed the eye test for me personally. Aesthetically, they look like the real deal. They for what maybe they stand for. I know they haven't really spoken too much about what they stand for. They had the vignette last week, and it's almost like, God rest his soul, Bray Wyatt-esque in, the kind of riddling of this, that, and the other. They look like early Judgment Day. If you remember early Judgment Day with Edge, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley. It's kind of early Judgment Day-ish right now. Spooky bollocks, I like to call it. But I see in the chat, big up Wrestling's Gaming. I think Triple H will keep trying with Karrion. I think he will as well. But I think this is like a last big opportunity to do it organically, should I say. Anything post this, if this fails and they keep trying with Karrion, it's very much gonna feel like you're forcing him down our necks now. It's gonna feel very, this is too much. We don't want this guy, but here, guys, take him. Roman Reigns 2015. So yeah, I definitely feel like this is, I trust Triple H to try and make this work. I think what's very intelligent now is that if Roman Reigns is to kind of drop the title come April, then we're building Karrion Kross, we're building his factions from now. We're gonna build it all up from now, so that, not to say that Karrion Kross is going to be champion this year, but potentially by the time he is going to be champion, you're going to believe him. Or by the time he's going to challenge for a championship, you're going to believe him. Like, if they do a good job from now, come like, let's say a Money in the Bank. I think that's what, June, July-ish. He could possibly challenge Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Championship if they do a good job building him up from now. And I think that's what it's all about. Like, he's come back in summer 2022, I think. Yeah, summer 2022. Karrion Kross came back to WWE. He hasn't really done anything since then, has he? He really hasn't. He came back, if I remember, in that big segment with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns getting towards Clash of the Castle. And he came out and took out Drew McIntyre during that program, if you remember. And he hasn't done anything of note since. He was at Clash of the Castle, front row, within story, him and Scarlett. I remember he's had feuds since with AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio. I think that's it. He should definitely be someone that could be up there 100%. At the very least, a challenger to a WWE champion. At the very least, a world champion I'm talking about. But there is a lot to do to get Karrion Kross back to where he was, in my opinion. There's definitely a lot to do. But it's not all dead. It's not all dead yet. Big up Ches Nasty. He says, put a fork in it. He's already done. Listen, I like Karrion Kross. Maybe this is NXT tax why I like him. He's still got credit in the bank with me. We'll see. We'll see what this faction does. Especially the Bobby and Street Profits. Their faction hasn't really taken off. It looks like, they may be collateral damage in Karrion Kross's faction's first story. And to be honest, they need to be. If you're debuting them against Bobby Lashley and Street Profits, and Bobby Lashley and Street Profits win the feud, they're cooked, they're finished. Then, yeah, 100% put a fork in them. but they need to, get off to a winning start in this first feud, and then we go from there. Big up Navy. He says Karrion Cross has had many chances. Even the NXT run, he lacked aura. No way, Navy. I'm not having that. I'm not having that. He lacked aura in NXT. No way. You've forgotten his entrance. You must have forgotten his entrance and just everything about Karrion Cross. Navy continues to say, standing next to people like Keith Lee and Adam Cole. Okay, all right, okay, fair enough. Maybe I should have read the whole thing first. All right. Yes, that one time where Adam Cole absolutely cooked him. Yes. But come on. In terms of aura, no. Come on. He definitely had aura. Keith Lee and Adam Cole have more about them, 100%. But like I said earlier, WWE know what they have with every single person they have, every single talent. So they would have easily been able to see, right, he's lacking here. His weaknesses are this. And they dressed him up and he looked the part. I don't think it's fair to say he lacked aura in NXT. He got absolutely cooked by Adam Cole that one time, 100%. I'll give you that. But nah, man, he was the business. He was the business in NXT. Yeah, that's not fair to say. Anyway, we got more stuff to do. We got more news and everything to talk about, as well as talk about some AEW stuff. Big up Steve, SCW, the wrestling channel. Good to see you, bro. Let's talk about some other news before we get into AEW. Watching my New Japan Wrestle Kingdom on Thursday morning. Enjoying the show. I think they always give you a really good show, despite the card not being quite Wrestle Kingdom level, I would say. But yeah, I'm watching the show. I'm watching the IWGP tag team match. And who shows up? None other than former WWE superstar Dolph Ziggler, now obviously going by his real name, Nick Nemeth, alongside his brother, Ryan Nemeth. They walk in, they sit ringside. I was like, bro, I'm happy to see you here. I'm very happy to see you here, but I can't lie. This is about 8 years too late. This is about 8 years too late. Like, that was my initial reaction. Anyway, they sit ringside. It's during the IWGP Tag Team Championship match, right? So I'm thinking, you know what? Him and his brother within this tag division, because I've said it a lot of times. I watch New Japan. I don't often speak about New Japan on the channel because I'm not sure how many people are watching it and are engaging with it. But I've said so many times, this division needs new tag teams because it's the same tag teams that are winning the title, like trading it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I see him enter. It looks like him and his brother have an eye on their tag team titles. I said, cool, new tag team. It's what I've been asking for. Can't complain. So I didn't know they were still sitting ringside for I guess the remainder of the show. We get the absolute banger of a triple threat match between David Finlay, Will Ospreay, and John Moxley for the new IWGP Global Championship. David Finlay walks out champion, and as he leaves the ring, he walks over to where Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, is sitting down with his brother, starts chucking at him, starts goading him into a fight, basically. There's some back and forth. There's some words. There's some slaps. It gets a bit physical. It gets physical all around ringside. David Finlay goes backstage to do his press conference. Nick Nemeth is following him. Yeah. Nemeth jumps over the table. I'm sure you've all seen the comparisons to him jumping over the press conference table, just like that guy jumped for the judge that's been going around on social media the past week. He's left standing with the global championship. Now, I said it was too late, 7 years or so too late. It now depends for me on Nick Nemeth's hunger. Is Nick Nemeth still hungry to be a star in professional wrestling? Because this could be amazing for him if he is still hungry. Before leaving WWE, Nick Nemeth was top 10 highest paid males there. And we hardly saw him on TV. This guy was on like $1 million, if not more, per year in the WWE, not being used. If Nick Nemeth is still hungry to be a star in professional wrestling, then this move is a stroke of genius. I really do think it's a stroke of genius because Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth would have watched what Cody done, leaving WWE, going around the world, doing all of that kind of stuff, going into the Bullet Club, which no doubt propelled Cody to another level with everything the Bullet Club do, the Elite do, and all of that. Now, obviously, he went on to start his own company. He left the company. He's rejoined WWE as a main eventer. And that is the only reason why I say 7 years too late, because maybe things like age and stuff like that isn't quite on Dolph Ziggler's side, on Nick Nemeth's side. But he could pretty much do the same thing. Let's not lie, let's not get it twisted. I don't want to sit here and pretend I'm overly invested in Dolph Ziggler or anything like that. But this is the most I'm ever going to be invested because you now have an opportunity to be brilliant. Nick Nemeth, is a better wrestler than Cody. He's a better wrestler within the ring, as in literally like his technical wrestling ability, than Cody. Cody's a fantastic storyteller in the ring and maybe has, ticks more boxes than Dolph Ziggler all round. But within the ring, Nick Nemeth is a better wrestler than Cody Rhodes. And potentially, I don't want to generalize, but potentially in Japan, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So things like the Global Championship, maybe the TV Championship, probably the strong title, all of these things are in immediate reach for Nick Nemeth if he really wants them. The company isn't going to just, let him come in and take all their titles, their top titles and stuff. Of course not. But there is potential for him to have a Cody Rhodes-esque run here and then maybe land himself in a AEW or back at WWE as a top guy if he wants it. There's potential for him to have a Drew Galloway type run here, McIntyre type run here on the indies, and come back as a top guy if he wants it. He's got the ability. On the mic, he can cut a promo. In the ring, he can do the business. I honestly thought that he, barring a couple tag matches with his brother to maybe help get his brother Ryan Nemeth over, I thought that Dolph Ziggler would be done with wrestling pretty much. He does his comedy stuff on the side. He's clear with money. He is fine for it. He doesn't need to wrestle. But here he is, turning up in somewhere where it's not just, I'm a wrestler or whatever. You actually have to wrestle. And he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be great. And he's going to, even with this program, the Global Championship stuff, I'm sure he's going to do a lot for David Finlay, who needs it because the guy's public enemy number one. And, it's his graps that's going to kind of get him over more than anything because people don't really want to hear what David Finlay has to say and give him a chance in that respect. So very, very interesting to see that take place. Big up Scotty 2 Dotty. Our boy Jamie, he says, Ziggler, yay or nay? Is he a draw in 2024? I would say no. I would say no, but at the same time, New Japan are doing a lot of work in America. So he's going to help those, those New Japan America shows. So I think he's going to have a match with David Finlay at Battle in the Valley. Is it next weekend? I think it is. New Japan Battle in the Valley, which is in America. So he's going to be a draw for those kind of cards more so, I would think, than anything within Japan. But it's good. It's good for him. I think it's good to kind of come out the WWE bubble, see things elsewhere. Like I say, I'm more surprised that he's here doing this. And if he wants to really, really do it, we're gonna see Ziggler ascend, and maybe in 2 to 3 years' time, he's going to be big business, possibly. I really do think so. Um, Navy says Nick Nemeth could have a Drew Galloway run and raise his stock super high. Yeah, like I say, Drew Galloway kind of run, a Cody Rhodes type run, and find himself, right back in the conversation um, of some of these places. Like, I'm sure WWE would take him back if his stock was high enough and people really wanted to see him and they felt that he could, really help in some way, shape, or form, at least be a main eventer within the title scene. If he wasn't going to win it, at least he's main event in shows and stuff like that. Yeah, he could really, really raise his stock here. Um, Very interesting. I never expected to see him. Like I said, I actually wanted to see Ziggler in New Japan in about 2016, I think it was. I thought his time, he had run his race in WWE then, the Bullet Club and stuff like that was at the highest. I thought he would have been a tremendous addition to the Bullet Club as a gaijin over there in Japan. But he stayed put and chopped his money from WWE, which is absolutely fine. Make whatever decision you're comfortable with. But yeah, I hope he really still cares about professional wrestling, because if he does, I think we're in for a time with Ziggler. I really, really do. I think it could be great. And just to add to that, obviously, we saw Matt Riddle turn up at New Year's Dash. Matt Riddle also, released by WWE in recent times. He's turned up at New Year's Dash to challenge Tanahashi for the TV title. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good. This is good, man. I like seeing these guys land in different places. It's not just someone leaves WWE. Oh, they're going to AEW. Like, there's other places to wrestle, so it's gonna be very good to see these guys have a go at it elsewhere. One more story we'll talk about before we get into AEW: Trinity Fatu, yeah, formerly known as Naomi for in the WWE. As is being reported, her contract is up in January. I think it's sometime probably within the next 2 weeks. Her contract will be up, and it is expected that she returns to the WWE before the end of the month. So I believe Hard to Kill, which is a TNA Impact in pay-per-view, is next weekend. She's facing Jordan Grace for the Knockout title. She's going to defend the Knockout title. I assume she's going to lose it there. She'll drop the title to Jordan Grace. And then that's it. Naomi, Trinity Fatu, she's become synonymous in recent times with the Royal Rumble. I think that is a fantastic place to bring her back. Like I say, she's got the Kofi type spots in the Rumble now. You bring her back in the Rumble, she can look great, have a really strong showing. She probably doesn't win it, and I struggle to see what else could be on the cards for her going into WrestleMania. But getting her back in the company, maybe post Mania is when they'll really look to do something with her. As long as you come on this channel, you will always hear me say, even Naomi being a 2-time WWE champion, I think is an absolute crime. She has the ability. She's been in Impact and held the Knockouts title for nearly maybe we're getting towards a year. We're getting towards a year where she's been champion, that length of time. And she was in the WWE for 10, 11 years and held the Smackdown Women's Championship twice. How Naomi never won that butterfly divas thing, I will never understand. At a time when the standard there was so low, and she was albeit new, I guess you could say, somewhat, but she had the ability above everyone else. Why was she never Divas champion? She was FCW Women's Champion, the developmental, but she was never Women's Champion all the way until what, 2017? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. She definitely should have won it. So I think post Mania, if they do bring her back in this month, I think post Mania could be when we see stuff happen with Naomi. She deserves it. She needs to have the kind of run she's having right now in TNA on the big stage in WWE. She 100% deserves it. To talk about one of her counterparts, someone she defended her Knockouts title against, Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo is all elite. She made her debut in AEW this past week in a segment with Mariah May. Really strong segment. It's good to see women be allowed to talk in AEW. And that sounds absolutely crazy, but women don't get time to cut promos in the ring in AEW. Rarely. It rarely happens. I feel like we haven't seen women cut a promo in the ring since maybe Britt Baker was on TV, and we know Britt Baker hasn't been on TV for ages. I honestly can't remember another time. Probably Tony Storm has done some stuff in this recent iteration of her character, but it's not enough. It's not enough at all. So Deonna Purrazzo, she's debuted. She's got herself into a program. It looks immediately with Mariah May. She's probably going to have to, cross Mariah May before she gets to Tony Storm, who she called out within her promo. And it's a really good signing, in general. Deonna Purrazzo is a fantastic wrestler. Hardly got a chance in the WWE. Left the WWE years ago to, go out there and try other stuff. She went straight to Impact, has been fantastic in Impact. I think in that time, she's probably won the Impact Women's title 2 to 3 occasions, if I remember correctly, and had like really strong reigns. Like, these aren't just I've won the title and held the belt for like 2 months and lost it. Like, she's had really strong reigns in that time. She's an awesome wrestler, and AEW have got a really strong women's wrestler on their roster in Deonna Purrazzo. Will they book her as needed is the question. Will they give her the time that's needed? Her and Mariah May. Mariah May has came and she's done some really good work. Are they going to continue to give them, the necessary time that they need? Back them with time and showing that you're invested in their development and the stories they can tell. Don't just sign these women to give them a paycheck and then just not do anything with them. You see what I mean? Which has kind of been the MO of TK and AEW since its inception. So Deonna Purrazzo made her debut, like I say, in a fairly good and efficient segment, which got both ladies over. However, I guess it wasn't the signing that we all thought we were going to get at AEW Dynamite this past. It wasn't the signing that we had been told we were going to get, at least. That sheet said was almost, guaranteed, imminent, that a certain Mercedes Moné was going to show up. You watch Dynamite, still no Moné. It's fine. It's fine. I heard Andrew Zarian of Matt Men's podcast. He said this past week that he always thought that this past week would have been too early for Monet to come in. And he thinks it's probably going to be more so this week. I believe he said he's probably 90% sure it will be this week that Monet debuts. Which for me is very interesting anyway, because to have Purrazzo debut and then you got Monet debuting the following week, I don't know if that kind of takes the shine of Purrazzo already. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's too soon after another kind of big name signing. Granted, Mercedes Moné is the bigger name signing, but it'll be very, very interesting to see if that's what they do a week after bringing in Peraza. We're all still waiting for Monet. If they add Monet to this division with Peraza, with Mariah May, with possibly the likes of an Athena that could come into AEW, with the AEW champion right now, Tony Storm. You got a Jamie Hayter that's still set to return from injury. You got Serena Deeb that vignettes are coming out that she's coming back. Britt Baker, we still don't know her whereabouts, but she's someone that's there. Riho's been in the fray recently. Sheeda's been in the fray recently. We've got a really strong division here. We've got a really great group, top tier of women. Then, not to mention, I don't want to say second tier, but the next tier of the ladies in the Statlanders, the Sky Blues, the Willow Nightingales, Julia Hart, Abaddon. They've been recently using. There's people that don't get enough TV time in Red Velvet. We've got a lot of women here. Saraya, Ruby Soho, like, it's time. I'm sure they thought when they got Saraya that, yeah, we're in business, it's time. Fell flat, wet fart, didn't work. This is the time now. Like we were saying on the Wrestling's podcast during the week, I think it was NK that said this. Mercedes Moné ain't gonna bite her tongue if they don't fix up in AEW when it comes to women's division. If she signs for AEW in whatever capacity, whether it's a full-time multi-year deal, whether it's a per appearance deal, if AEW don't invest in a women's division while she's there, we are all gonna know about it because Mercedes Moné will talk. She will talk, she will out them, she will let us know like what is happening over there in terms of the women's division. So yeah, look at all those names I reeled off. I really do think it's time for Tony Khan to pull his finger out and do something special with this women's division. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. There's a lot of moving points and personnel to use. And if we're being honest, Dynamite this past week was really good. It felt like a reset. It felt like Dynamite of old. And it's funny that a lot of fans are always saying that it feels like Dynamite of old and like we want the old days back and all of that kind of stuff. Promotion's only bloody 5 years old, but like it really did. It really did through, personnel that we saw, like Mark Quinn coming back to TV, and just how straightforward the booking was on the night. And it's just good matches, getting us through with good angles, things to leave the show talking about, things to go into next week talking about. It seems like they're pressing the reset button and going again. 2022 was very hard for them. 2023 was even worse. Both years sprinkled with, great points and great debuts and great personnel coming in and, amazing shows and like All In and stuff in London. But 2 very hard years in this young company's early days. It looks like 2024, they want to bring the good times back. And I guess that started at the back end of last year with the Continental Classic, which in my opinion was phenomenal. While we're on the topic of Continental Classic, what I will say is that since Eddie Kingston has won it, since World's End, that title, that Triple Crown, whatever you want to call it, has looked hella mid-card. Hella mid-card. Brian Keith, Vikingo, Brian Cage, and Trent Beretta having a number 1 contenders match to face Eddie Kingston. Which one of these guys am I really invested in? Is I don't know. Is this how you should have started off the lineage of this championship? There's no big names in there. It doesn't look good on Eddie. It doesn't look good on the championship. Trent goes and wins, right? Which is okay, cool. Let Trent have a title shot, fair enough. Brian Cage would have been the biggest name there. That probably should have won to have a match at Eddie Kingston, but we give opportunities to everyone. Cool. Trent wins, and I won't lie, Trent and Eddie Kingston on Collision this past week had a fantastic match. A really, really good match. Trent looked really, really strong in defeat. He bled. His mom was ringside. They were doing all of that kind of stuff. But there isn't these aren't the names that I want to see contesting. This is a mid-card title. This is like you tried to repackage the Ring of Honor title and sell me it as something else. This is still a mid-card title if these kind of names are the ones that keep continuing to pop up when it's time to defend the title. You can call it Triple Crown. You can make Eddie Kingston walk around with 3 titles to make it feel like it's something more than. But I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is. If you, depending on the talent you have going after the title, not going to feel anything more important than a mid-card belt. So, like I say, the tournament itself was fantastic, but everything since the number 1 contenders match on Dynamite, the personnel within that match, it doesn't scream to me like this is a belt I need to have. And I knew this was going to happen, and this is why I was very adamant that Swerve should not win this title, because this would be a consolation prize and just tell me we're not ready for him to be AEW World Champion yet. Let him carry around these 3 titles, beat some jabronis, and that should maybe silence the crowd. Thank God they didn't give him the title, because now more than ever I can see, no, they seem to be committed to making Swerve a main eventer and pushing him ever closer to that world title. Him winning the Continental Classic wouldn't have done that. So, yeah. And I don't want that for Eddie Kingston per se either, but you're not going to make us feel more invested. This is just another mid-card belt. That's all this is at this point. So, yeah, like I say, that the tournament was great, though. Culminated at World's End. Something else that happened at World's End was obviously the unveiling of the Devil and who was behind it and who the Devil's goons were. The Devil was Adam Cole. His goons that are now the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions was Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. The other 2 in tow, Roderick Strong and Wardlow. So we now know who the group is. They're going by the name Undisputed Kingdom. And I thought their segment on Dynamite was super, super strong. Like, they went out there, they made a really good entrance, the aesthetics of it all. Like, I love all that spectacle stuff. You guys know me. I love all of that. It looked great. They came into the ring and Adam Cole just made good points. Like, you're going to hate you're going to hate me. Like, all I did was beat MJF to the punch. MJF would have turned on me eventually. I did it first. There's just a lot of good points made by this group. He's laid out the, I guess, Undisputed Kingdom's prophecy, like the Undisputed Era one, that, you know, obviously we've got the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions already, that Roderick Strong is going to go after the International Championship, which I can't wait for. I think it's going to be brilliant. Him and Orange Cassidy, it's going to be great. The interesting one is they said Wardlow's going to go after the world title. And when I'm back and fit, Adam Cole says, Wardlow will do what's right and hand me the world title. And of course, we all saw Wardlow look straight down the lens of the camera, the hard cam, and his face said like, well, okay, mate. And like, you know, like he didn't really buy it himself that he's going to do that. And I don't know if people noticed this, but Roderick Strong saw him do that. Roderick Strong saw him kind of look at the camera like, he wasn't, you know, affirmed. He wasn't sure of himself that, yes, I will do that, Adam Cole. I will hand this back to you once you are well and fit. It was more like a, yeah, sure, I will. So is Wardlow using Undisputed Kingdom as a means to get the world title before he disposes of them? Is that his plan? Who knows? But do keep in mind, Roderick Strong saw him do that. If they make this a bigger story, Roderick Strong saw him do that, right? Now, we know the history of the kingdom. We know the history of Undisputed Era. Wardlow has no place in either of these histories. And I can't help but think Wardlow is going to be expendable. We are not going to see Wardlow in this group into its long-term future. I think he is a placeholder for a returning Kyle O'Reilly. I think maybe Wardlow gets a go at whoever a champion may be in the next few months. Could be a Samoa Joe, could be a Swerve Strickland. He loses, and then we see him kicked out of the group. Maybe even kicked out by Kyle O'Reilly himself, and Kyle O'Reilly takes his place in the group. But I can't see Wardlow staying in this group for long. I really do think he's here just for the now. And yeah, we might then see the prophecy change a bit. Kyle O'Reilly goes after the TNT championship, and then Adam Cole goes for the world title. That would be fun. That would be cool. But Adam Cole in a faction, as a faction leader, is always something I've got time for. It's always something I can get behind. There's not many better than Adam Cole in this position right now in professional wrestling. He is one of the best faction leaders. He works best in a faction. Like, it's just what he does. Now, the segment didn't end here. The segment ended after we saw Bullet Club Gold come out. Jay White came out, amusing as ever, saying, look, I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy that you took out MJF, but why was I collateral? And he wasn't having that. He said that, you could have done what you were going to do to MJF without touching me or anything like that. He came out with the guns. They made a beeline for the ring to go and attack the Undisputed Kingdom. They were shortly joined by the Acclaimed, who obviously were taken out by the henchmen as well. And they joined them in the ring, all going to take out the Undisputed Kingdom. So the Undisputed Kingdom already have enemies. They're not in the clear because MJF isn't around. MJF isn't around. Cool. They've still got enemies. They've still got people onto them. So they've got a couple programs lined up already, which is going to be very interesting. And for those that saw Collision, you would have seen the Acclaimed basically interrupting an interview segment with Bullet Club Gold, looking to make some type of alliance. Anthony Bowens made some reference to, look, I've been in AEW long enough to know that factions make sense. Factions do the best. And it's almost like they want some, like, the Acclaimed club out of the situation. They want to merge the two groups together to become one faction, maybe to be able to contest with Bullet Club Gold. Sorry, with the Undisputed Kingdom. So I don't know. It was very weird, the whole reason, that got brought up. Wrestling's gaming is saying, God forbid. It was very weird. Jay White, Colton Gunn didn't really seem to have a lot of time for this suggestion. But Austin Gunn did. Austin Gunn said before he left, like, to Lexi Nair, to be honest, it makes a lot of sense. I said the Acclaimed Club. Navy has said Bullet Club Pink. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna call themselves, but it's a mad one. It's really a mad one. Big up Savage Talks Wrestling. Hope you're well, bro. We're just chopping up this AEW from this past week. So yeah, the Undisputed Kingdom, they've said what they're here for. They said it was more than the titles when it came to MJF. This was now a collective of people that, MJF had done dirty. But now they've made it about titles. And like I say, there's an Undisputed Kingdom prophecy on what everyone's going to go out and win and stuff like that. My only thing is now, like I say, it's the enemies that they obtained along the way. It's the Bullet Club Gold. It's the Acclaimed. I think it's probably a bit too far out to say, does this lead to Blood and Guts match? It might be a bit far out to say that. Maybe they're plotting the seeds. Maybe this could be anarchy in the arena. It's probably a bit too far out as well to say that, but it looks like some kind of link up between the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold is going to happen. Maybe they don't, fully on kind of become a faction together, but maybe there is going to be some type of alliance between the two. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, it's been super, super, super busy week in professional wrestling. Obviously, we just talked about from Dynamite over to Collision. Collision in general this past week, it was a skippable show. There were some good matches on it. We saw FTR beat House of Black. FTR got a beat down afterwards from House of Black in front of Dax's wife and his daughter. What else happened on Collision? Adam Copeland had an open challenge. Griff Garrison answered it. Don't know where they digged out Griff Garrison from. Apparently, he's been doing bits on Ring of Honor. Only those that watch Ring of Honor could say. But there was a lot of match announcements for the Daily's Place show, which they're calling AEW Homecoming. That is obviously like the maternal home of AEW. So yeah, we're getting a lot of matches on that show. I think we got Ricky Starks and Sammy Guevara. We're getting Claudio Castagnoli versus Hangman Adam Page, which should be good. So yeah, they made a lot of announcements. And they also announced they're doing Battle of the Belts, which is one of my least favorite shows because I think it's just absolutely pointless. Like, what does it mean? And on that show, on Battle of the Belts, we have the AEW Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, defending the title against Jericho and Sammy Guevara. We all know why Jericho has been in the news over the past couple of weeks. We don't need to necessarily discuss that. I think it's they probably could have still just not done this match. Jericho wasn't on TV on Dynamite. He wasn't on TV on Collision. But it looks like maybe to get this match out the way of giving Jericho his tag team match with Sammy Guevara, they're going to do it on Battle of the Belts, where they probably have the least viewership out of all of their programming. He will be booed. It will make, even when they announced it on the show, there was boos from the crowd and stuff the minute they said Jericho. But maybe they've thought, well, if Jericho is meant to have a tag team title shot, let's put it on this show where we know not a lot of people are going to tune in. Not a lot of people are going to watch it. They lose because I expect them to lose and not be gifted a championship after all of this controversy. And then we can just move on with Ricky Starks, Big Bill as the tag team champions and not have to discuss any of that anymore. So yeah, very, very, very interesting week. I mean, I think coming forward in this week that we've got ahead of us, we probably find out the state of Drew McIntyre. He's lost again to Seth Rollins obviously last week. So I think we probably find out a bit more about where he is. We've got CM Punk on Raw as well over the next week, which will be very interesting. He's obviously said that he's going to be at the Royal Rumble. He started laying the seeds for him and Seth Rollins, wherever that finishes. But right now, it's simply just laying the seeds. But I'm sure CM Punk has something to say over the next week. Like I said, we've got AEW Homecoming, which we could see the debut of Mercedes Moné. I think that could be very, very interesting in Daily's Place. Like I say, almost like the maternal home of AEW. So it would make sense for her to kind of turn up there as well. And by the weekend, we got TNA Hard to Kill. And I know we tend not to talk a lot about TNA and Impact. It sounds like some sinister reason. It's just because of, we just tend not to watch it or not watch it as much as some of the other stuff. But that could be a really definitive show. We're meant to get a big WWE surprise, I believe, on that show. If you read all the dirt sheets and stuff like that, Osprey's on that show, Okada's on that show. That could be Trinity's last show if she is set to return to the WWE. So that could be a very, very important show in the landscape of things for the next few months. So yeah, going to try and tune in and see what we got over there cracking as well. But that is it for today. We'll put a bow in this one, put a ribbon in this one. It's going to be out on the podcast platforms as well. Your Spotify, Apple Music, all of them stuff. So tune in there. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. And same time next week, we'll be back with another one, 8 p.m. on a Sunday. During the week as well, Tuesday at 6 p.m. we've got Wrestle Extra. That's the Black wrestling show if you want all the kind of news and opinions on everything Black wrestling happening as well. But yeah, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.